So I'm gonna level with you guys. You know what really bothers me? Really bothers me?
What?
I'm gonna be completely honest here, and this has been happening, and I'm not exaggerating in any way. Every time I start to watch something or get into something, somebody from that thing dies, and I feel like I'm cursed. Start listening to a bunch of Bowie, because I've always loved Bowie, but I start going through his albums. He dies.
Yeah.
Always loved Prince. Start like heavily listening to Prince and going through his catalog. He dies. Alan Rickman. He dies. We start watching Superman. Gene Hackman dies. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just gonna hide in a hole.
So the real question
it's always
is,
people I love.
Who do we direct at next?
Oh.
Who do we aim this cannon at?
I don't know.
Oh, Home Alone 2.
No, because that'll be the last copy. Or we'll kill Joe Pesci, and I can't handle that.
Too much collateral damage.
I guess just go watch reruns of Apprentice that don't have Penn and Gillette on it.
I like where you're going with this.
I'm Joe.
I'm Ken.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dan.
And we're the Rewinders, rewinding movies to see if they hold up. And this time, we continued the Parade of America exceptionalism by watching Superman 2.
I don't think I've ever watched a movie where the opening credits give you like a whole goddamn breakdown of what you missed.
God.
And I kind of wish more sequel movies did something like this.
See? I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing, but I'm on the opposite side. I was like, what in the hell? Why are they doing this? And like, I could see both sides. It could be like, cool, if you've never seen the first movie, what the hell are you doing at the second one? But good for you. Congratulations. Here's the first in a reduced plot. Or for people who, you know, in between the years, it's good for them. However, on the other side, I was thinking of it from a film perspective, and I'm like, it doesn't allow the movie to stand on its own if you're dedicating an X amount of the movie to recapping literal scenes from the first movie.
Literal, like, the whole
8
ass
minutes of the movie was dedicated to the recap.
And then I thought about other movies like that. I'm like, is there anything else that I'm being hypocritical about with this? And I was like, Back to the Future 2. But no, Back to the Future 2 just picks up where Back to the Future 1 left off, and it adds additional scenes in the beginning before it gets to the title screen. So I don't know. This is the first one that's really done that for me, too. And I was definitely on the other side of the fence. Like, this is wrong. This isn't allowing this movie to be its own movie.
The vibe I got from it was, hey, you remember this movie you liked? You remember this movie you liked? You remember this movie you liked? You're going to like this one, too.
And then behind the scenes, you find out that they bullied Richard Donner out of it, too. So it's just even more awful. It's like, yeah, Richard Donner's not here. Donner's not here for the whole thing, but yeah, this is still Superman, we promise.
I'm going to talk out of school, but I think this is also the movie where they recorded the entire movie with Marlon Brando and then just didn't put him in the final cut.
It's either they recorded with him.
A lot of interesting choices with this movie.
Yeah, it's either they recorded with him or they used a bunch of footage that they had left over from the first movie. I can't remember which is which.
Oh god, that opening bit with Zod and his lackeys, it looked so
flying
bad.
through space.
No, when they kill the like robot dude and
when they're sneaking around espionage,
the cardboard robot.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean that's only the tip of the iceberg for bad special effects in this movie, in my opinion. So I can't wait to get into it.
You're not wrong.
Yay!
But I'm sorry. I had to say something about this opening.
Yeah.
Just because like I can't say dumbfounded, but like oddly excited that I've never seen a movie do something like this before, but I totally blew the like, hey, what's our history with this movie? I can tell you, I have none.
My favorite part about the intro, apart from the fact that they redid the entire first movie, apart from him flying backwards, because even that was a bit too much to put in the recap. One of those sentences in that, because it was all written sentences, no spoken words, was from the original material composed by John Williams.
Yeah. I was going to say that. You took it. Yeah. Like, when you see that, that's bad. That's the equivalence of, like, looking at a package of food or, like, a new candy bar or something like that with improved taste. Or if you go past, like, an oil change place under new management. Like, it doesn't leave a good feeling. It's like, oh, okay.
Good feeling, bad
Contains
taste.
scraps of John Williams. Yay.
Well, I mean, even then, like, the audio for the track at the end, like, starts getting all warbly and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely didn't freshly record any of this stuff. This is just a recording of a recording that we're going to put on another recording.
And Andy, have you tried the new Butterfinger taste?
No, I have not.
And it's been a few years, but Ferrero Rocher bought them out.
What? Fancy.
On the package, put new improved taste, which is what reminded me.
I always hate that. No, I have not. But the last thing that I did try head to head was we got Cadbury mini eggs from the UK.
Oh, yeah,
versus the ones in the US.
wildly different. Oh my
Yes,
god!
because I kept seeing the reviews for the US ones, and they were like 1 out of 5 everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? Are they really that bad? I get them every year, and I didn't think they were bad when I had them. So when I got the UK version, I'm like, okay, it's not going to be that big of a difference. And whoa, what a difference it was! Less chalky of a shell. It doesn't like turn into glass shrapnel when you bite into it. And the chocolate actually tastes like milk cocoa versus whatever our chocolate is here. It tasted like a Hershey Kiss.
That's the thing. Hershey's chocolate is not chocolate. It's chocolate.
Yeah, it's condensed milk and a bunch of other garbage. Yup.
For interested parties, is this a thing that you can get in person, or do you have to get this from the interwebs?
No, if you go to World Market,
World Market
has them.
Okay.
They're in yellow bags. They're about $3 for a yellow bag of Cadbury mini eggs. And then, of course, Walmart, Target, wherever they have the ones from America.
Heads up about the World Market, though. They sell out really fast.
Well, then I'm probably too late.
No, I think you could still go now, I would think.
Do something for me then.
What can I do for you, Joe?
You can try out the coming soon flavors of, I want to call them squeaks, but
Peeps?
They're not squeaks. They're peeps. Peep flavored icy and peep flavored milk apparently is coming
good
out.
God.
That's going to be
What?
sweet.
You can find those things and try them
Sweet
for
as
me
all get up.
because I think the EU has outlawed peeps because we don't see them over
It's
here.
probably for the
Probably
best.
for the best. The only thing I get peeps for is to let them get stale and then go peep jousting.
The only time I thoroughly enjoyed Peeps was I think it was either you, Ken, or you, Dan, gave me Dr. Pepper Peeps, and those were actually delicious. Maybe it was Robbie. It was one of you three. I just remember it was when I worked.
It wasn't me.
Okay.
I
They were
don't
good.
remember.
They were actually really good.
I mean, that God, Rothy, that was so long ago now.
I know, but it was tasty. They were actually really good.
All right, I'm going to right the ship here.
Oh yeah, quick. We're
right.
Dan,
we're tilting hard.
you started it. You don't have a history
Not
with
at
this
all.
movie?
None of these movies. None of the movies in this series. If we continue it, God, please no.
Ken, how about you?
Me? I've seen it, and after watching it again, it makes sense why I never really sought out any other ones apart from Superman 3 because of Office Space.
Andy?
No history whatsoever. After watching the first movie, I remember the scene where he saves or finds Lois's body in the car, and like several other small scenes here and there. I didn't remember a single scene from this movie, so this was never even on the TV for me to watch.
My whole history with this film is absolutely General Zod and his crew. It's going to sound maybe a little weird. The trio of bad guys, for some reason, worked really well for me in my brain because I also loved, Critters 2? Where they also had 3 space people that had powers and came. It doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
Either way.
Same thing with like Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey. What is that movie?
Jim
Why can't I think of the
Carrey.
name? It's Earth Girls Are Easy. Earth Girls Are Easy.
Ah,
Oh, I never got
never
around
seen
to
that
that
That's
one.
another one with 3 aliens that are fun to hang out with.
But yeah, it worked for me, and I enjoyed the fights as a kid and stuff like that, and didn't really pay attention to the side drama, sort of what goes on with this movie. All I remembered was Zod and chucking buses and busting through load-bearing walls and stuff like that.
like Zod does. I mean, even the new Zod did that. So,
Yeah, So if anyone has not seen Superman 2 before, it kind of goes like this. As we explained, the movie says, hey, you remember the first movie? Let me tell you again, but really fast. And then goes on to, at a nearly breakneck speed, to make Clark Kent / Superman goof up to show Lois Lane who he is and ruin that whole thing in record speed. Meanwhile, General Zod and his crew, which we saw in the first movie, break out of prison for some bizarre reason, which nuclear bombs in space, apparently.
Yeah, the shockwaves from them shatter the glass prison they're stuck in.
And then, of course, they want to dominate any and everything, but oh no, our planet's dead, can't dominate that, gotta find another planet to dominate, and then they try to dominate Earth.
Wild jump from the mass distance that, Krypton is from Earth and whatnot and so on and so forth.
So Earth cripples pretty easily because of course it would. And then they get the big stiff upper lip. You wait till Superman finds out. And then Superman does find out. And I'm going to skip some stuff, but basically just say Superman goes, nuh-uh. And then they go, uh-huh. And then he goes, nuh-uh. And then the "oh really" pops up in the middle, and that's Lex Luthor, and everyone just says, "Shut up, Lex." And then they go back to "nuh-uh, uh-huh," and then it's over, and it is nuh-uh.
Or is it uh-huh?
And you know why this all happened? You know why all of this happened the way it did? Because of love.
Oh,
it's always because of love.
I was going to say they dropped the original writers and director, but love works too.
I mean, that and a fundamental shift on what the baddies believe. Because, the first movie, they're basically eco-warriors trying to save Krypton from, being, or at least migrating the population of Krypton because they think that the sun is going to explode and they're being called heretics, so they get shot into space and all of a sudden they're egomaniacal murder clowns.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's a good way to describe it.
I think Zod's just got he's got a syndrome because he's short. He's got a complex.
They got some emo-tude before emo-tude was a thing.
Remember all the good things I had to say about the Kryptonian suits in the first movie?
Yeah.
I take all of those back against their suits. They negate everything.
Their suits are very bad.
It's like watching ABBA going around basically trying to take over the world or something.
Freaking plastic garbage bags.
Yep.
Oh, but we got to differentiate the morally gray Kryptonians from the morally white Kryptonians.
All right, we have to start this off with a good feel good kind of thing. What's one thing everyone likes about this film?
God, he set the bar so high. One thing?
Oh boy.
That John Williams theme song. That John Williams tune. It's a classic.
But that's not sourced from this movie. That's sourced from the last movie, and then someone else kind of just rewrote the notes again.
Okay, Christopher Reeve's acting. I think Christopher Reeve was a great actor.
Okay.
I mean,
a really great actor.
There's some funny one-liners still, kind of.
Okay. I'll accept that. Funny one-liners. Ken?
Oh, yep. So this is going to be a long way to go, and it's a bit silly, but I sincerely enjoyed that Lois had a character change throughout the movie, even though it didn't seem like it. She really wanted hot dogs throughout the entire movie, and then by the time Superman gave her a kiss at the end, all of a sudden she wanted hot dogs, or hamburgers, almost like she forgot she wanted hot dogs.
Hey, that's a good one, actually. That's some good setup. I like that.
That's nice. Not a allegory for lesbianism, is it? Kind of. Oh. You know what? I'm just gonna stop it there.
She wanted a corn dog at the fair, and then she wanted tacos later.
Man, that makes you want a hot dog really bad.
It's okay. The thing that I like is vengeance against the trucker.
Oh, yes. That was wonderful.
God.
That needed to happen, and it was so good. Because Superman is like this damn Boy Scout who never does anything like outside of the absolute like peak of morality. So watching him kind of go into a gray area just to get petty revenge, worth it. Absolutely worth it.
And it doesn't leave you feeling dirty about it. It's just kind of like you kind of agree with it, and you're like, yeah.
It's like they basically set it up so we could all be like, that dude sucks.
That dude is awful.
Along these same lines, this movie does callbacks really well. So Superman gets hit by a taxi at the front of the movie.
Yep.
The taxi gets dented in, and at the end of the movie, the taxi cab comes back out, and you say it's still dented on the front end. Still driving around with that dent and exposed radiator fan, apparently.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Nice.
Oh, look, this movie has some attention to detail. My God.
So the movie starts off also with Lex Luthor being being broken out of the jail. And by the time that the Zod had taken over the White House and was sitting there, I was like, wasn't Lex Luthor in this movie? What was he doing there? And then he shows up, and then you find out why he was at the Fortress of Solitude. It made sense that he had to go there in order to be able to be one step ahead of Zod, in order to be able to take him there, in order to be able to tell him about other stuff that I can't remember right now, in order to know about Krypton.
He watched all the crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anyone else sad that Luther's right-hand man got left behind in jail?
No.
You didn't want another bumbling idiot movie?
No. Luther was enough of a
Jesus.
bumbling idiot in this film. He didn't need another one below him.
I get Luther's supposed to be kind of like a foil to Superman, but my God, I don't know why they decided to make him just goofy.
Well, the problem is like, I know the comics. I know the backstory. I know how the characters are supposed to be, even though I never got into them, to be honest. I know that Luther's supposed to be, this mastermind villain, and he is supposed to be the arch-nemesis to Superman. But the problem is, I feel like this movie tried to set up, or the first movie tried to set up that villainism in the same vein as the 66 Batman movie or Batman show.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make him goofy. Can't make him too cynical because that's going to scare people, and they didn't really push those bounds yet. So we have this goofy ass Lex Luthor who's just larger than life, super zany, but he's not really like, Heath Ledger Joker levels of
Evil.
Cynical, not even like Jack Nicholson levels
Yeah.
yet.
They definitely weren't ready for that at that time.
No,
No.
that would have turned everybody
Yeah.
off. I mean, this is a movie that they're taking kids to probably, and they're like, oh, the villain can't be anyone that, could actually scare the kids. It's just got to be like a bad mayor that everybody shuns. Something along those lines.
And that's my big takeaway from 2 is that Superman 1 felt like a full family movie. Dad could enjoy it, mom could enjoy it, son could enjoy it, daughter, maybe grandpa and grandma. That's maybe stretching it, but it felt like it played to adults as well as was nice enough for kids. Superman 2 feels like they kind of just said, you know what, we don't need the adults. They'll come anyway if we got their kids. And I felt like it was kind of like treating it like Return of the Jedi, where you kind of just go, let's just aim at the kids some more.
I agree. But then there's like some weird stuff thrown in that throws off the whole like GPG thing. Like, what about when Superman's having that machine worked on him? And his face like peels away to his skull, and then like goes back with his muscles are regrowing with the red face and everything. I was like, that's got to be terrifying for kids to see in theaters.
Or his giant sex hammock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as much as I'll sit here and defend Batman Returns until the end of until the sun comes up, that it wasn't a bad movie for kids, I could still see, the whole like electrocution at the end of
Max von Schreck.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when he gets electrocuted, that's kind of scary, sure. I mean, Penguin, he dies and floats into the water and gets carried back up by penguins for his funeral, but
He spews black vile.
he does.
Vile.
He eats a raw fish.
Yeah.
But
As an adult, it's alarming and disgusting.
See, I will sit here and defend that movie until the end of time, but again, it's the same thing with this one. It's like there's scenes in it that are just, who the hell is it intended for, to be honest?
It moves in weird directions at all times.
Which you can
And
absolutely
I mean,
feel.
like the honeymoon palace or whatever they go to.
Yes,
God.
that was...
It's like, here's your sleazy scene. And it's really not that sleazy, but it still kind of is. And you have like somebody's kid who's never been in a movie before gets cast as the bellhop who is allowed to just overham it up 10 times bigger than he should.
Oh, yes.
But then again, this movie is hamming it up, and it's like, okay, maybe he's not out of place, but
with the super hammy, it just it builds,
It does.
and it's
It's an interesting thing.
it's so distracting.
I'd love to sit back and dissect it and try to figure out where Richard Donner is and where he isn't in this. Because you have the same tone throughout the whole first movie with Donner at the helm. But then when they booted him off production of this one and took over, that's always when things go south. I mean, you could sit there and watch Solo and it's 3-4 different movies all strung together. So, I mean, there's a lot of movies that play off that way where it's like, that something happened production-wise and you can see that and you can feel it. You could definitely feel it with this movie.
My money is going to be his whole contribution to this film is the idea to separate Superman away from Clark Kent and make a storyline based off of that.
Yeah.
And that's where, because as you said before, the like skull, you can see that. So there's more adult themes kind of happening in that moment. There's the giant sex bed and stuff like that. So it's adult themes. It's more adult facing. It's an adult question whether to give up power for something that you see as greater than yourself, instead of choosing power over something greater than yourself. You know, it's bigger questions, bigger options than just a slapsticky throw a bus and crush Superman. I think that's where it ended up slicing.
I would agree.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
Because the storyline of sending Lois Lane to France right off the top. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was like the
Fast.
first thing that happened where I was like, what in the hell are we doing, movie? What is this?
How long were they holding those hostages for? Because she would have had to get on an airplane and fly over. That doesn't happen, especially back then.
She was on the Concorde. So it's going to take, what was it?
Like 2 hours, 3 hours?
3 hours?
Something along those lines?
3 hours flight. But then you have to get out of the airport. You have to go through immigration.
Uh-huh.
You have to get public transport or a taxi. And I believe she took a taxi from the airport to there. Even if you take the Concorde, that's still a long time. The Concorde.
I forgot the
Those
Concorde
were
was
the
a thing.
days.
I missed that part where they said that.
I always wanted to take that flight. It just was cool.
Oh yeah.
It seems like
That
a
was a
cool
cool
idea. It is a very cool plane. I think it might just be like any other flight, except for a little bit shorter. Where you're
That's
just
what makes it so great.
in the air going real fast. Whether you're going 20 on the highway or 600 in the air, it's...
I thought I read somewhere that they were like working on reviving not the plane itself, but the hypersonic flight.
Yeah, it's not going well, Dan.
No, it's not.
But yeah, it's one of those things that usually is your base of storytelling is to, one, don't waste your audience's time
This movie does that a lot
with things that
though.
don't matter. Everything should have a point and lead to something else. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. My question is, who the hell were these terrorists on the Eiffel Tower? Answer, it doesn't fucking matter. They're nobodies.
How did they get a hydrogen bomb? Dime a dozen, apparently.
And then they answer a question like 5 scenes later because they're like, oops, yeah, we showed these animated lines in space that shattered the Phantom Zone glass. And it just leaves you going, what the hell was that? Why did that do it? And then then you ask the question, how far did those lines travel in space? Then your mind asks, is it like explosion pressure that broke the glass? Is there enough matter in space to create that pressure explosion in space? Or is this something else that the bomb gave off, like some atomic things that maybe interacted with this Phantom Zone? That's where my brain started going.
Yeah, lots of distractions.
I was honestly confused as to what was going on previously to them being exploded out of there, which I can, you know what? It's a superhero movie. Fine, whatever. You need to get him out of there to keep the movie going? Sure. What the hell was that about him snapping the neck of the guard? The very ineffectual guard that wasn't going to do anything. Why were they just wandering around loose there? I don't know what that scene was, apart from like, oh look, they kill people. But why? Did that happen on their trial day?
I mean, they almost made it look like it.
Yeah, they really did.
It was such a confusing and unnecessary addition of a scene. Easily could have cut that and saved a little bit of time on this, what felt like 3-hour movie.
I kind of went hard on that first French scene. I apologize.
No, it's fine. They do a bunch of that throughout the movie. Like, God, when they go to the hotel, it's in Canada.
And the Niagara Falls is like right there.
Yeah.
Right over the edge of the railing is the Niagara Falls. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not how it works. They don't let you that. They don't let you that close to the falls.
Next, you're going to tell me they don't have a display glorifying the people who went over the falls in a barrel.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe here from the editing time, not from the recording time. I'm going to let everyone in here on something. I looked this up because I wanted to make sure I was correct. And holy cow, the railings at Niagara Falls for both the Canada side and the U.S. side are really damn close to the falls. I am honestly shocked about this, but I wanted to make sure that I followed up and didn't say something with absolute knowledge when I didn't have absolute knowledge, and I'm here to correct myself. I was wrong. You apparently can just leap off the rails and go over the side. Maybe they have a fence now. I don't know. But Google Earth kind of shuts me down. Thanks, Google. What? You never know.
You're right. I don't know.
Maybe back then they did.
They might still today. I don't actually know. I'm curious if that's a thing.
I had a good chuckle that Lois Lane took the stairs up the Eiffel Tower. Because when I was there, I also did take the stairs. Because I was like, $2 extra to take the elevator. Screw that. I'm taking the stairs.
Ugh. Brave.
It wasn't that bad. I was young.
Okay.
Okay, I have a quick question here. I'll put this in like edit zone. Andy, are you still with us? You there?
Really? Hello?
Uh-oh.
I don't want him to miss too
Right.
much.
We had a good conversation going between the three of us, so that's okay.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Us?
he's
Oh,
here.
there you are. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, nature called. I couldn't wait.
Understandable.
It's all good.
I snuck away, and then the conversation kept going.
I do that often.
I know.
I get it.
I was just worried that I'm like, oh no.
Andy hasn't added.
I can tell Andy hasn't
added
said
anything.
anything in a while.
I know. I was feeling like crap. I gotta get back. I have not found a clear way to be able to excuse myself quick while we're recording.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Drop a
I
BRB in chat.
I didn't want to
We'll be
keep
good.
going and then not allow you to join in with anything.
Well, thank you. No, the whole Paris introduction with Lois Lane was just bizarre as hell.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, she gets there just as the terrorists are letting go of the hostages too. So it's like, what the hell's there to report? Essentially, like you guys said, it's a 2 to 3 hour long trip that she had to have gotten delayed information about. Like, somebody probably called her. Probably took like half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour to get to the plane to actually travel over. So let's be, I don't know, let's say like 4 hours it took her to get to Paris. And then, of course, customs and everything else, like you guys are saying. Let's say she gets to the Eiffel Tower 5 or 6 hours after everything's happening. What's the point? Like, is she going to be the one to win that Pulitzer? No, she wants those damn awards for being the first to report on something that happened 6 hours prior to her getting there.
And her questioning, a bomb? That could blow up all of Paris. That's her questioning.
Oh no.
Oh,
Let's
no.
get closer.
Yep.
Let's climb precariously on this elevator and hijinks ensue.
So specifically that scene when Superman is talking to whoever his boss is. His boss says there's 20 hostages. And then when you get to the Eiffel Tower and see those scenes, there's like 5.
There's like 5, yeah. There's
You
like
wonder
5
if they-
tourists sitting on top.
You wonder if they did that on purpose for like sensationalism. You know how news
Ooh.
does that sometimes? You wonder if they did that on purpose or if they just couldn't get 20 people up there and it's like, it's 5, it'll be fine, nobody will notice.
Like they're a little light on extras that day.
Right. Or you can't get 20 people in an elevator on the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, where's your attention to detail now?
Yeah, Dan.
Hey, there's no way I am defending this film as being good.
It was a slog
It was a
to get through this
slog.
movie.
Yeah, slog. That's a good way to put it.
It was Yeah, slog is perfectly descriptive for what I felt.
And I think Superman's greatest superpower is existing in a world that has incredibly slow gravity, because everyone falls at just the slowest pace.
Just the right speed that he
True.
can swoop in and save them.
True.
Yep.
It's almost like they're all on wires.
Oh,
Yeah, and
God,
taking physics out of the equation too,
the
because
moon-
all the times when he's grabbed people mid-fall,
the moon
he
scene
hasn't killed them.
with Zod and his cronies killing the
Oh my god.
the astro and cosmonauts.
Uh-huh.
Oh God,
That was rough.
I will give that scene one thing, and that is you are there as an astronaut. You understand you are all alone, and then you see a person standing
not
there.
in a suit,
No suit.
like
Just standing there. That's scary enough.
yeah, right.
It is.
Then add that they're going to interact with you and like try to tear at your suit and stuff. That's horror. That's horror.
It is.
That's scary shit.
Would you tell Houston that you're seeing things when you clearly there shouldn't be somebody out of a spacesuit floating in front of you? Like, you come back to Earth, they're like, well, no, you're not fit for any more of this. How about you just go sit over there?
I don't know. This movie, like, I was just so bored.
And that's also shows you for certain that Hollywood did not fake the moon landing because their lander was going to take off in full. And if I remember correctly, real landers have a top portion that blast off from the bottom unit that is now just left
Are you
behind.
saying that this film is proof that we?
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
That you're
Right.
you're correct. You are not wrong. The lander had a module
Well,
that
see-
took off, and they left. There is so much trash on the moon from all of the moon landings. My God.
Moon garbage.
But you see, Joe, Kubrick has the rights to use that kind of imagery in a movie. He got it back in '69, so
No one else can do it right.
no one else
Yeah.
can do it the same way.
Not even Tom Hanks with his movie because they almost all died and they didn't get to land on the moon. That's Stanley came in there and they're like, I'm stopping you from doing this.
They
You
should have
can't land
named
on the moon.
They should have named it the ultimate edge. They get to the moon, but they can't land. They have to live with that for the rest of their lives.
Which was almost very short.
Yeah.
I wasn't the challenger though. Oh, that was dark. I'm sorry, guys.
Wow. I am actually honestly really surprised you took that jump.
I'm in a mood.
But yes.
Dark Dan came out.
Too far, Dan. Too far.
This movie just makes me like I wanted as much as we tore the first movie apart, I wanted the like serious like first 2/3 of the film to come back, and it never did. And I think like my waiting for something like that to happen ruined my expectations of this film, because I spent more time waiting for like substance to happen.
The first one had a much more streamlined plot, and it was
Yeah.
it was setting things up in order, in sequence, and it did very well. The pacing was great. This one, it's a few things kind of going at odds against each other. I think one of my least favorite things in the entire movie is just Lex Luthor randomly going north and finding the Fortress of Solitude.
Finding the Fortress of
Oh,
Solitude
it's Superman's
and
base!
knowing it's Superman's base. Like, come on.
That's his home.
You have
Yeah.
you don't have any kind of information to know that, at least from the way that the time jump between the first film and the second film is, there's no way he would have any ability to know that Superman is based out of somewhere in the Arctic Circle.
Right? Or
Dan,
anything
you
along those
obviously
lines.
were not paying attention. He discovered that Superman gives off alpha waves.
True.
And he created a device to track that.
True. Okay, now I hate it even
I
more.
mean, I guess again, I would have to
Hate it
be
even more
paying
now.
more attention to this film more than I had at that
So
point.
what are alpha waves, you may ask?
Radiation.
No, it's nothing.
No. The only real thing listed as alpha waves is your brain activity when you are calm.
Ah.
Huh.
Well
I
then.
don't think that that's what they were going for in this film. I think they just heard something and said, "Yeah, that's cool."
Science jargon. This works.
Yeah, you gotta make stuff up for this just because like you can't use something that already exists, because people are like, that doesn't make any sense. That already exists, and you can't. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
So you come up with your own stuff.
that's true.
Yeah.
One thing I was confused about from the flip from 1 to 2 was what was up with Miss Eve, Teschmacher, his other like right-hand man, Lex Luthor's.
Right.
She had that change of face in the first movie, saved Superman's life because she was worried that her parents would die. And then all of a sudden in the second movie, she's like right back into being Lex Luthor's second-hand man. Like, yeah, we're out of prison. Let's do this, essentially.
That's a
For, like,
directorial
2 scenes.
hand wave.
Yeah, I love it when they erase a character's growth from a movie. That makes me happy. But one character didn't grow at all, but came back a second time, and it was exactly what was needed.
Jimmy Olsen.
We got a second. No, that too.
Oh, are we? Oh,
No, John Ratzenberger was back. He was in the first movie and this movie.
Who?
His little cameo.
I don't know who that was.
John Ratzenberger. He's, Cliff in Cheers. And then he's also voice of what? Ham
Yep.
in Toy Story.
Don't know that. Oh, okay, I do know that.
Yeah, he's almost in every single Pixar movie. Yeah, he was in the first movie and this movie as a controller. Was it an air traffic controller?
Yeah,
or
something
along
like
those lines? I
that.
can't remember
It was a yeah.
Yeah, just throwaway scene with him at a computer talking.
Oh, okay.
Did you guys? And I
Continuity, I love it.
just thought
Yes.
was just reminded of it now. Did you see that they gave little Superman a cape wrapped around his middle in the opening scenes?
I mean,
They
yes.
did show Superman's adolescent genitalia
They did.
again.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
I was gonna say, what version did you watch?
That was the one that I
'Cause
watched on
Yeah,
it
Max.
was
exactly.
he was
There you go.
hanging.
There was a little red cape.
No, there was in the first movie. They wrapped
Yeah.
the cape around him when he was helping lift the truck. But prior to that, when he first
Oh,
stands
right,
up
yeah.
after getting out of the
That's
asteroid,
right.
he's naked.
That's right.
That's when he's.
Yeah.
See,
I was gonna bring that up and be like, Ken, how'd you feel about that being included out of all the scenes they had to show that a second time?
Hollywood's not beating any allegations here.
nope.
No.
What would be hysterical is if every single Superman movie with Christopher Reeve opened with a montage like that,
Oh,
starting with 2, 3, and then 4.
God.
And it progressively had less and less scenes, so it wasn't as long, but they still included that scene.
This is important.
People need
It's
to know.
important that you know that he was butt naked when he came to Earth.
Art.
No other way to show it. Ah, gross.
Something I sarcastically like about this film, at the end of the moon beat 'em up scene, they're like, they came from Houston. Let's go to Houston. And then they go to fly off.
Yeah.
And Big Burly Man has the 2 flags. And when he drops them, they fall perfectly with Earth gravity.
right?
While
Yeah.
everything else in the scene floats a little bit. That cut me up pretty good.
That lack of detail.
That is good.
Yeah. Big burly man's grunts made me chuckle. It's like, oh, he can't talk because he's the big guy. Got it.
I liked him more as a kid.
He's odd. He's Lockjaw. Is it Lockjaw? That's the Bond villain that's got the...
He can't burn things with his eyes.
He had to really work for it. I was proud of him when he finally figured it out.
Yeah. She didn't. She just looked at a snake and it burst into flames.
The discovery of powers in this film as compared to 1 is just ridiculous. And they're all like MacGuffins. They're exactly what they need at the moment. And they just randomly discover it.
Yup.
And they have lung capacity of a fucking blimp.
Oh,
It's that Kryptonian in yellow sun radiation magic.
every single scene with them flying, just I died a little bit more inside. And then I think when I thought it couldn't get any worse watching the 3 of them flying, when they flew past Mount Rushmore, that's when I almost turned the movie off.
I think they filmed the
These effects
scenes
were
with
so damn
Zod
bad.
last when they had the least amount of budget left.
Right? It's like, oh, we gotta bring Superman back. Okay, let's get a whole bunch of stuff planned out. Oh shit, Zod.
Because when Superman saves Lois in the Eiffel Tower, it's blatantly a green screen, but it
looks
he hits
good.
the bottom of the tower and then does a 90-degree bend to fly straight up it. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it still looks good.
Considering when this film was made, but it's God, it's like
But every time Zod and his lackeys are flying, it's
They're-
it's
they-
comedically bad.
they're obviously on wires, and it just
And it's like they're so rigid. They're just like
it hurts. It just hurts.
Yeah, they're all planking in air.
planking it exactly.
They can't all be Christopher Reeves.
True. I mean, I did watch the documentary after this because I saw that pop up afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And he put so much effort into trying to make Superman look like he was actually flying. Like that was his big thing about the movies, was making sure that he actually felt like he was. So he put so much effort in. So I can only imagine that everybody else is just like, oh yeah, just wire me up. Let's do this. Scene's over. Good. I'm done. Launch. Whereas he's actually practicing and trying to get it right.
Yeah, there's little subtleties to it that you can do and make it look way better. And everyone's like, I can just hang out in midair and do that. Like anyone can do that. But like, it's a difference between a good singer and a great singer. Like there's subtle differences that you do that just really sell the whole thing. And Christopher Reeves really nailed it.
Yeah, good comparison. But that's just it. I mean, it was his first movie role when he was, I think, 26 or something like that? Like, first big budget movie, Superman, and he wanted to not make it hokey, and he believed in everybody working on it. He didn't, people thought, oh, it's going to be a comic book movie, it's going to suck, but he was in the camp of let's make it as good as we can possibly make it. And it shows. The first movie was great. It had its issues. We tore it to pieces because there's definitely problems.
2/3 of that movie is great.
Yeah, until we get to the end. But
I don't think we tore it to pieces.
We tore certain aspects to pieces, like the shittily armed guards carrying nuclear weapons across the country. It's like this movie. Oh, I was going to say that about this movie. I get it, and I have to keep reminding myself. For some reason, I just think like all good big budget franchises happened in the 80s when I think back to my nostalgic brain. I'm like, oh yeah, that was 80s. No. I have to keep reminding myself that this was the frickin' 70s. And it seems like when Zod and his cronies are tearing up the military coming in, their shitty World War II Jeeps and all that garbage, just like the most hokey looking military coming in to fight these guys.
Yeah. 81 at this point for this one.
Yeah,
I thought it was
basically the 70s.
Early 80s.
Basically.
Yeah, like it was just coming out of the... Oh no, it's 1980. 1980. It's just coming out of the 70s.
Oh,
because my
HBO
point is
said 1981.
Oh, it says 80 online. Oh yeah, no wait. Release date in the U.S. was June 19th, 1981. That's confusing. But anyways,
wait, what?
I pit this against Batman 1989, and it's probably not a fair comparison, but just seeing the difference in the quality of effects between the two.
Well, yeah, that's
they learned a lot.
That's a decade's worth of filmmaking, man.
I know it's a decade's worth of filmmaking. I have to remind myself that, but like going back to the first movie and seeing just like the jankiest, most idiotic looking troops running along the side of a truck carrying a nuclear missile with like a couple of like pickup trucks with lights on them, and that's supposed to be the big military. That's their security. And then it's like a janky little Jeep comes up, takes a couple laser blasts and swerves around wildly, and a dude falls off holding an M16, and helicopter buzzes overhead. That's clearly a civilian helicopter that they strapped a couple of fake rocket launchers to.
So like, the first movie had that little bit of camp. Sure.
It did.
This one went full camp all the time.
Yeah.
To the point where you couldn't even get out of that. So it just, I don't know. It didn't allow you to actually live in the movie. It's constantly taking you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they do things like remove the ability for Superman to... So Superman comes to Earth, gets his powers because of the yellow sun. And then, how does that
Gets
machine...
a vasectomy.
Vasectomy? What? He just gets his... Something happened to remove his ability to be affected by the yellow sun.
And got it reversed.
Loses it for like 10 minutes. It's fine.
Loses it for 10 minutes, but, the entire world comes to an end at that point. And then somehow he gets it back.
Yeah.
He finds a crystal, the green crystal, and all of a sudden he gets it back.
What does it matter?
How Soup's got his groove back.
I guess it doesn't matter. Not near as much as the opening scene where the guy snaps the other guy's neck. Way more important. Way more story implications. That guy's getting his neck snapped.
Yeah.
The thing I learned in this movie is not to pay attention to the main dialogue. It's to pay attention to the ADR dialogue in this movie.
Oh my God.
What are all the extras saying in the scene?
Yeah.
What are all the people off camera saying? Because that's where all the fun happens. I mean, I only wrote down one of the lines because it caught me so off guard. But at Niagara Falls, an ADR line for someone in the background was, "Of course he's Jewish."
What?
I was like, what the hell
There's
is that?
there's a lot of weird ass like you said ADR. Like why?
Clear as a bell audio for people off camera.
I should have I should have made a note of it, but I didn't even think like why?
There was a line probably in the first movie. Everyone knows this line. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Well, let's just have everyone have what they say heard out loud. Maybe we can get another thing.
At the end, they're all like, "I can't believe he just left us. He's gone." It's like, okay, we don't need 20 people to tell us what we saw.
Yeah.
But thank you, movie.
Hey, kids. Oh, he's gone. All right, well, let's get out of here then. There's a fight to the death and people are being blown away. If this was a modern movie, they'd be cut in half with laser eyes. And you guys are just standing there doing... Not even trying to get behind a building?
Hell, Zod was taking over the country and people were still busking out on the streets and acting like they're on vacation.
Well, I don't entirely know what Zod taking over the country means, to be honest with you.
Sit in the Oval Office and complain that life isn't great. That's apparently what it meant to Zod, because he's like, "I got everything.
There's nobody that can best him.
Boo." It's like, get out there and do something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want people to suffer, go ahead out there and make some people suffer. Make yourself feel better about yourself. I don't know what you need.
Just look into what the Republican administration wants to implement and work on it.
Yeah, do that.
No, their heads would spin. Their heads would spin back then if they knew what we know now. Their heads would spin.
From, like, I know not a lot of you have seen this when you were a kid, but how is it now watching something like this for you?
It's difficult. It was so difficult. It was so damn difficult. Watching the movie, all I could think was, at some point, people went to the theater and thought, "Wow, this is amazing." And here I am watching this thinking, this is one of the hokiest,
Did they though?
worst effects-driven pieces of crap
I didn't
I've
even
seen.
look at how this did.
I don't know. Like, they were very proud of it when it released, and I guess there was a lot of comments, like I said, where people were saying that it's better than the first. So I kind of expected like a Spider-Man 2 scenario coming into it. Like, okay, cool. So they set up in the first one. The second one's just going to blow me away with my expectations. And I even knew about the whole Richard Donner being like cast out of the movie and everything. And so I felt like it was going to be bad, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a benefit of the doubt. Holy crap. Like, watching it now, I can't believe this movie was in theaters, in the state that it's in, and that they also made a sequel to it, to be honest.
Two sequels.
I mean, that's harsh, but that's my truth.
Two more sequels.
I know, because he's contractually obligated to do 3. And then 4 was just the worst out of all of them.
We're going to eat them all.
Oh, boy.
This had a production budget of $54 million, and it grossed $216 million worldwide.
I think first Superman did better than all the other Supermans, just in general, worldwide over its long life.
I think it made like 400 and something million on the first one. Like, it was a huge hit. It surprised everybody. It was the first big comic book movie that was actually successful.
Well, I mean, we also know how they treated comic book films and TV shows before this.
True.
So the first Superman had a budget that was $1 million more than 2. Superman the movie had a $55 million budget and earned worldwide $300.5 million. Superman 2 had $54 million and earned $216 million.
So little dip.
My God, it's like, where did that budget go? Comparatively,
I feel like the budget went to some special effects. Like, I don't know, like, we're talking the Eiffel Tower's not bad. A lot of stuff with Superman's not bad. Including the end fight, where it's just mayhem everywhere and explosions and cars flinging around and everything. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it didn't go to the writers.
No,
It definitely didn't go to the scriptwriter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of it probably went to Brando, and then the scenes were either cut or not used, and they just, okay, well, screwed, I guess.
Well, between when I watched this when I was a kid and now, it's like, as a kid, I saw a lot of things that I thought were cool. And now it's just, I'm older and jaded, and like this doesn't hold my attention.
We're here reviewing these films. Like, we're not watching the film because we're fans. Like, that's not the premise of the podcast.
We're also not watching the movie in 1981 when it was released. We're watching it now. What year
True.
are we in? 25.
True.
What year
And
are we?
that's why
later.
I'm trying to tap into what I felt back then, maybe not in 81, but maybe 82 or 3, and thinking it was pretty neat. And enjoyed the fights and didn't remember anything about Clark Kent and Lois Lane doing any weird stuff.
Yeah.
Man, he really did just go all for it. Didn't even bother talking to her about it. It's like, hey, I'm going to lose all my powers so that way you can, so I can do things with you. And
Yeah.
she's like, and he's like, all right, bye.
Yeah, she's pretty much just like, let me go change into something more comfortable. That's all it comes down to.
And she kept saying, it's like, I want you to be the man I fell in love with. It's like, why would you take away the basics of the man she fell in love with? It's like, that is part of the deal.
That's because they got
and you just took it away from yourself.
That's because they got rid of the director.
You take Richard Donner away and the magic's gone.
Oh, yeah. No, that was the added, that superpower was added by, not Donner, that was added by the new guy.
You mean kissing away her memories?
Yeah, the amnesia kiss.
It's like Men in Black. but
Dumb.
worse.
Much worse.
You know, Joe, I think you made me realize something here.
What?
Joe. I think I used to critique movies by a lot of other standards, but I'm finding myself as I get older and more jaded, critiquing them on a very basic swing scale on two things.
Yeah.
When I paused the movie to go to the bathroom, I looked at the tracker on the bottom and said, "Ah, fuck, there's still another hour left." And then when I really liked the movies we're watching, I paused them to go to the bathroom or go get a snack, and it's like, yay, there's still another 50 minutes or an hour
Yeah,
left.
that's a good metric.
That really is a good way
I've
to.
never really focused on that metric, but it's happening a lot more frequently now. And this is definitely one of them.
The next two aren't going to be good.
It's like when we were
That was-
watching The Shining. Like, when I took
The Shining was
the
great,
break,
though.
Like, I'm like, oh my god, there's been so much, and there's still like an hour of this movie left. Where is it going to go?
Right? The pacing, when the pacing hits, it just hits. When you pause a movie and it feels like you watched an hour to an hour and a half already, and you pause and you've only watched like 40 to 50 minutes and there's still another hour plus left, that's such an amazing feeling. When you watch something like this, it's like, okay, I have to have been watching this movie for like an hour and a half. It's got to be almost done. You pause it and there's still over an hour more, and it just feels like nothing's happened and you can't even remember the sequence of events. That's just... Oh,
You start questioning motives. You're like, why are they doing this? I don't remember hearing anything that pushes this. What is
What's
happening?
What am I doing
Exactly.
here? Do I have dementia? Why did I even start watching this film? Oh, right. Not doing this because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna assume here, and you can tell me if I'm right or not. We can all agree this movie doesn't hold up.
Oh,
Not at all.
not in the least bit.
I
There's-
would still offer up the first movie and tell people, if you want to see like the perfect blend of Clark Kent and Superman, go watch Christopher Reeve's acting chops in the first movie.
But only watch the 1st
I would
2/3 of the
never
film.
say, yeah, watch the first 2/3. That's it. And even beyond that, I actually watched another movie with him recently that was offered up to me via Tubi Roulette. Somewhere in Time.
See, but
That was one
Yeah.
of his
Yep.
movies
Yep.
he
he
tried
had
to
a
do
lot
after
of
Superman.
other good films
Yeah.
after Superman.
Oh yeah, I love Village of the Damned, but the problem is none of them were hits.
Well, of
So
course not,
every
yeah.
movie he did after Superman was just, it was such a bruise to his ego because he wanted to get away from Superman, get away from that role. And he was trying to prove, like, at no end that he could do other roles and be serious and everything.
Yeah.
And all these movies just flopped, which is sad because Somewhere in Time was amazing.
Mhm.
And I love Village of the Damned. It's like, I still have a few other movies of his I want to go back and check out, but it's just sad because watching him perform in the first Superman, that documentary I watched after this, his son nailed for me what was the perfect scene to show his acting chops and the reason why he was the perfect choice. And that's the scene when he's in Lois Lane's office. Or no, not office, her apartment. When he takes off his glasses and he like suddenly, as he's taking them off, he kind of stands up a little bit. He has a little bit more confidence to his posture, and his voice changes. But then he immediately realizes, oh shit, what am I doing? Puts his glasses back on and instantaneously just transforms back to Clark Kent effortlessly. That was good. That was really, really good. And this movie, there's a couple scenes like that, but this is just a mess. It's a huge mess.
It's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I know.
But it's going to include some wacky stuff.
Oh.
The wacky stuff has got to keep us
Is
going.
I can't wait for Richard Pryor.
Oh boy.
Yeah, number 3, I have ideas from my memory about number 3. Number 4, I'm completely in the dark. I don't even know if I ever saw
I'm
it.
dreading these last 2 movies. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through 4. If it's as bad as people are saying it is. Like, I don't know if I'm not going to be able to like stop myself from stopping the film, standing up and being like, you know what? I've wasted enough time today. I'm going to go, clean the house or do something that is worth anything.
I hear you. And I'm not sure, is 3... Joe, I'm assuming you've seen 3?
Yes.
I've seen 3.
You've seen 3 as well. Okay, I couldn't remember if you said you saw it or... Oh, no, you did say that was the only one you saw. Okay. Is that one that I keep seeing all these memes about it? I've been seeing memes over the last like year and a half where like, I don't know, somebody throws somebody into like a computer wall or something like that. And like, yeah, it like basically fuses circuitry all over their skin. I've seen that.
I am not going to say anything.
All right.
You have to wait for it.
I have seen
you
that
gotta
meme
come
up
get
repeatedly.
it.
I've ever seen that meme come up repeatedly, and that's like the number one thing people bring up because they're like, who the hell was this made for? This was terrifying to me as a child. And I guess there's a whole generation of kids that are terrified and trauma-stricken because of that scene, I guess.
I'm looking forward to seeing that scene again.
Can't wait. I'm ecstatic.
But that was us chucking ourselves in the fire to maybe prove to Lois Lane that we're Superman. Maybe? Or maybe we did it subconsciously. Who knows? But that was Superman 2. If this is at least somewhat entertaining for you, subscribe and be somewhat entertained again.
I promise we have episodes
and maybe
that don't
tell
suck.
someone else.
We do. We really do.
Hey, this didn't suck.
The movie did. The movie sure did.
Dan.
This episode is probably, I hope, was at least entertaining. Good. I'll be honest there.
It was something.
It was something for sure. Definitely something.
And next time, we'll be back with more Superman, as we've discussed, with Superman 3. And we'll be 3/4 of the way done with the Christopher Reeves quadrility?
Question for that, actually. So it ends with Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, but technically Superman Returns is the cap. It's the finale of this universe's filmography. So
What? No.
I noticed that, Chris.
God.
I never knew that. I never saw Superman Returns. I was working at Walmart out of high school when the toys came out, and I was like, oh, well, what's this all about? I looked into it.
When
and I guess
did
that
it
was
come
supposed-
out?
True. Okay, I think
Superman
2003?
Returns came out in
2006.
2006.
That's
We
way
are-
off the bat, but it is the
We will
final
not
film
cover
in this
that.
universe. Which I think it also had what's his name as Lex Luthor. They aged him up and gave it to Kevin Spacey.
But next time it will be Superman 3 and all of its zaniness.
Oh, joy.
So we'll see you then when we rewind again.
My favorite part of this movie is as the credits started to roll, right up on top, loud and proud, it said, "Coming soon, Superman 3." Oh, they were optimistic.